Grab a cocktail with us and welcome to the hot mess that is my life as a single makeup artist living in a college town in Florida. This is Kara's Lipstick Diary. Oh my God, you guys, it is 2022 and season 2 of the podcast. I can't believe we have made it to season 2. And I am beyond excited with who our guest is this time. We have Dr. Laurie Mitz of Becoming Cliterate, which is like the most epic book ever, you guys. I can't believe she agreed to be on the show. I'm gonna totally fangirl in just a minute when we get to talk to her because she is my spirit animal. I am so excited. So season 2 is official. It's a thing. It's time to subscribe. Hit the little bell thingy or the subscribe button, whatever the heck those things are. I don't even know. I'm old. I'm 40, you guys. I don't know what I'm talking about, but do it. Subscribe, hit the bell thingy, hit the follow button, make it happen because you know you don't want to miss any of these episodes. They're just going to get better. All right. It's the new year. We need a cocktail. Let's make this thing happen. All right, so we are gonna make a drink that of course has champagne in it because like it is New Year's Day after all, but we're gonna start with 3/4 ounce of Apricot Brandy. Okay, me trying to measure this stuff on camera is really probably the most entertaining part of the show because I really have zero clue what I'm doing. Thank God I have friends who are bartenders who are now teaching me how to make cocktails because prior to this, it was just a hot mess of me like Googling stuff and it being kind of disgusting. All right, next we have a 1/2 ounce of Elderflower Liqueur. All right, I really just bought this because it had a pretty bottle and then the bartender like just created drinks around it because he was like, yeah, it's good stuff. And I was like, cool, because I really just like the bottle. That's how I buy a lot of stuff is because it has pretty packaging. I know that's not how you're supposed to do stuff, but that's what entertains me, so that's what I do. All right, and now we have 3/4 ounce of lemon juice. All right, I've got this. I'm only spilling a little bit, you guys. And some vodka. I don't know if you guys have tried this type of vodka. I discovered it recently, and it is gluten-free, which is, you know, what I look for. And it's really good. I like the packaging too. Like Greenhouse, I don't know who you are, Greenhouse, but I really, really enjoy your products. And you should totally sponsor me because your vodka is fantastic. Oh, I just spilled some, which means I should add a little bit more, right? There we go. That looks good. And then let's see, then we have, good Lord, this one has a lot of things in it, you guys. This one is now 1/2 ounce of triple sec. And then we get to pop the bottle and add the champagne. Because really, you know that's what I'm waiting for. And of course, we have glitter in there because you can't do a cocktail without glitter in my world. All right, you guys, now it's time to pop the bottle, which is my favorite part, because really the sound of popping bottles is like the greatest noise ever, right? It's fantastic. All right, so I add a little bit of the champagne to my cocktail, and this looks like it is going to be fantastic. All right, you guys, cheers. Happy New Year. And you guys, this guest is amazing. Just you wait. You guys, I am, like I said, so beyond excited to have Dr. Laurie here with us. This book is phenomenal. Basically, all the things I've spouted off about, she actually has like real knowledge and like science and stuff behind, and not just me being like bumbling up here talking about random things thinking I know what I'm talking about. She actually knows it, and she wrote a book and she teaches, and it's amazing. And I am like totally gonna fangirl because she is phenomenal. When I first announced I was gonna do this show, I had so many people coming up to me saying that they wanted to have her on the show, they wanted to hear from her, and she was kind enough to agree to be on it for the first show of the season. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Laurie. You have no idea how happy I am right now.
Well, I'm just thrilled to be here. So thank you for those kind words.
Of course. So we have Dan here. He's co-hosting. We figured, you know, bringing, you know, the guy who claims to be king of the fuckboys on was a great...
You can't say that, okay? Golly.
That he would be a good person to have on co-hosting this to talk about, you know, female pleasure and, you know, becoming cliterate. Because like, first off, where did you come up with this name? Because it's the best name of a book ever.
Well, thank you, but I have to give credit to someone else. Ian Kerner wrote a book in 2004 called She Comes First, A Gentleman's Guide to Pleasuring a Woman.
Oh, I love it.
That's a great title.
And it's an oral sex how-to guide. And in the back of the book, he used like just on the cover, he used the word cliterate and cliteracy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. So when I wrote the proposal for the book, etc., I wrote him and I said, can I use this? He said, that's totally fine. The more cliterate people in the world, the better. Have at it.
I adore it. So let's go back a little bit. And how did you end up in this line of work?
Okay, so I'm a licensed psychologist. I've been teaching and practicing for over 30 years. And the bottom line is, I always was comfortable with sex for a lot of reasons, including a really unusually sex positive upbringing. So I always asked my clients about sex, and I would always get the same answer, like, well, I wouldn't have brought it up if you didn't, So I ended up realizing how few therapists specialized in this. And I did a lot of training and self-education and just really fell in love with the world of sex therapy. And one thing has led to another. I wrote my first book, A Tired Woman's Guide to Passionate Sex. And then I came to the University of Florida primarily to teach their Psychology of Human Sexuality class, which I have so much fun doing. And it was through that class that I really realized how big the orgasm gap is, how little is known to young adults, especially about female pleasure. And so I started teaching to that in my class, and I would get notes like, thanks to your class, I'm orgasmic. Thanks to your class, my girlfriend's orgasmic. And I thought, I have to write this for more than the students at the University of Florida. So it's been kind of a one thing leads to another situation. But the bottom line is I was raised really sex positive, and I want to spread that knowledge around.
Yeah. Well, and I'm impressed by that, because I have to say, so many people are not raised in that, including myself. I'm not in contact with my family, but since I launched this, I've heard what their thoughts are on it, and it's not been super supportive. So, hearing you say that, that's an amazing thing that you came from that, because so many of us grow up without the sex positivity, and not recognizing the fact that it is a normal human thing we are supposed to be doing.
No way.
Yes.
What?
No way.
Oh, we're supposed to have sex? What?
Oh my gosh.
So with that, you had a family that was supportive of it. There's still, though, a huge stigma around talking about sex. Do you find that you are backed up, that you end up in situations where, people are weirded out that this is what you do, or uncomfortable with it, or don't want to be involved with what you do?
Totally. I mean, some people, a lot of times, like, I just don't tell people what I do because I don't want to deal with it. Like pre-COVID, like on an airplane, look down, read your book, avoid the question. But
I was reading your book on an airplane just this past, a couple days ago. I did get some funny looks, let me say.
Yeah, no kidding. There's a lot of positives. So I don't I get a lot of notes saying your book changed my life, thank you. But in terms of the pushback, absolutely. I've gotten a lot of pushback, and especially lately on social media, a lot of people centering their experience over science, people saying nasty things. And, just like it's my house, I wouldn't invite somebody in who was nasty. I figure it's my platform. So I really, it used to bother me more. Now I just block.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. I just lost my earpiece. Dan, you ask a question because I can't hear anyone.
You can't put me on the spot like that. So, man, I was not prepared for this.
Sorry. I'm here.
I was ready to learn about the nitty gritty kind of stuff, really get into it.
And I did enjoy that you had lots of pictures and diagrams in your book. That made me very happy.
I'm glad. I mean, I have diagrams of the vulva, the internal clitoris, but very few women even know what they look like. It's
that was actually something Dan and I had talked about before, that I was getting kind of in this weird, I was getting this weird holdup about what all my lady bits look like, because I've had so many men make comments about my vagina.
But they were never mean
no,
or
they were
bad
never mean, bad, or comments. But I was like, what the hell is so different about me? And I've even had doctors say things, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't compare my vagina. I can't compare, my vulva to anyone else, because I'm a heterosexual female. So I'm not going and checking other women out. And so I started getting really freaking paranoid because of it. So your lovely photos in here were very helpful. I know that I'm not an alien now. Don't look at me like that.
No, not at all. Not even a little.
I mean, I know you're interviewing me, but I'm just appalled. What kind of things did doctors say to you?
Well, it's been like, oh, well, this piece of, equipment doesn't fit in you and things like that. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what is wrong with me? And guys have said things like, oh, you look like a Barbie doll. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, why does it look like a Barbie doll and I'm plastic? Like, what? So I've had you start getting a weird complex when you aren't, like, with guys, your dick is out. Like, we can all see, and compare. Boobs, they're all visible. Like, we can compare. I'm not comparing mine. So I just got a really big hang up about it.
Maybe you should just start comparing it.
I know. Like, excuse me, random women. Like, can you take your pants down and let me look at you?
I need to know what's different about mine.
So honestly, when I saw, would you hold my drink for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Here you go.
I don't know if I should drink this.
No, you shouldn't.
This is probably
that's
really
got
strong.
alcohol in it. So like I loved this page where it like literally had the different pictures, and I was like, oh my god, I can find mine on here.
Put that on YouTube?
I don't know.
Can we blur this picture out?
Blur
Unfortunately,
this photo. Hopefully it's like out of focus. But no, it was extremely helpful to like see that and be like, oh my god, I am normal. Like I'm not a freak, because I found ones that look like me. It was very exciting. Shut up.
I'm so glad. And it's, so many times I was just talking about this with my class. People are self-conscious about what they look like and there's no right, there's no wrong, right? Like every vulva is as unique as a snowflake, beautiful, but we're told we don't see them, and we're, exposed to digitally altered images if we do see them. So I'm really glad that was helpful, because I really wanted to normalize all vulva appearances. And in fact, can I tell a funny story?
Yes, please do. We love the funny stories.
Those are my favorite.
Okay. So when I was writing that section, I basically wrote, because there's a lot of vulva insecurity, there's even surgeries on the rise. When someone said you look like a Barbie doll, you probably have more you probably have more even inner lips than most. Okay. And so in fact, people are having surgeries to achieve that look, which is crazy because it's fine no matter how it is. And those inner lips are sexually responsive. So I have just the opposite. So when I was writing that section, I wrote something along the lines of, it's normal or to have an inner lip that's bigger than the outer lip. It's normal to have one that sticks out. And I wrote, truth be told, I have a vulva profile that looks like a face with a tongue sticking out.
Oh my God, that's a fantastic description.
But then the book was literally in print. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, oh my gosh, I literally came close to a panic attack thinking my daughters are going to read that. Their boyfriends are going to read that. Everybody at the Thanksgiving table is going to know what my vulva looks like. So I called my editor and I was like, we need to edit out that line. And she said, no, we can't. Be brave. Like young women need to hear someone talking about it. I was like, okay, but maybe we could at least get it less of a visual. Can we edit it to, truth be told, I have an inner lip that protrudes out from my outer lip. Right. She goes, I don't like it as much, but it's your book. Fine. She called the editor or the printer and they made the change. And then I have a wonderful, very cliterate husband. And for the next day, every time we'd pass each other in the kitchen or whatever, he'd go,
oh my God, that's fantastic. No, I love that. But I mean, I understand why you're a little worried about Thanksgiving dinner and everyone, being fully aware of everything you look like.
Exactly. So they still are, but not quite as graphic.
Well, having kids, how do they feel about you talking about all of this and, this being your profession?
Well, my daughters are adults.
Yeah.
I mean, I have one that's 28 and one that's 31.
Okay.
So how they feel now is different than how they felt when I wrote my first book. To be really honest, I was very worried about that. And so before I wrote my first book. They were like in high school. I sat them down and I was like, I'm wanting to do this, but I don't want to do anything that makes you uncomfortable or blah, blah, blah. They were super sweet. They were like, you always encourage us to pursue our dreams. We don't want to stand in your way. Go ahead. But then when the book came out and got some attention, they were a little
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Now, like, they promote the book. Their friends have read the book. Their friends will call me for advice. So now, as adult women, they're like totally happy and proud and not embarrassed at all.
Were you about to say something?
So how did your husband feel about it? Because I know for me personally, I'd be like, oh man, I was like, is this a directions for me? Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, oh my God, I would overthink the heck out of it. So like, was your husband like super supportive and everything?
Yeah. I mean, I think my husband knows he's a pretty good lover after 36 years. So he wasn't insecure.
Okay.
And I did talk to him about it, and, he gets teased a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's usually like positive teasing.
Right. Okay.
Like
wow, how lucky he is.
Like, wow, what's it like to be like married to a sex therapist?
It's pretty fantastic, in case you guys are wondering.
So he's pretty secure with himself and pretty good with it.
Yeah.
And
he would have to be married to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole book is about how most women don't orgasm from intercourse. So you could, given the cultural narrative, he could be embarrassed, like, oh my gosh, this is about me.
Right.
But he's like, he knows the research too. He's also, a scientist, and he knows the research, and he's like, yeah, he was very supportive of the book and my TED Talk. He was in the front row cheering me on.
Nice.
So,
well, and it's so interesting because, I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s. And, that's when I started doing things like going and finding sex toys to, try to figure out what the hell I was doing. And back when I was looking for sex toys, they were all basically like dildos. There was not a whole lot of focus on the clitoris in stimulation. And I remember thinking, I remember I was so excited. I got the rabbit because, they talked about it on Sex and the City. It was supposed to be like the most amazing thing ever. And it didn't really do much. And I remember thinking, is there something wrong with me? Why doesn't this work? And then, obviously as I got older, I started figuring out oh, that's not what it's all about. But I didn't have any of the scientific background. I hadn't taken a class in it. I actually was a sex ed teacher briefly, which was really bizarre. And we didn't teach anything about female pleasure. And I look back and I'm like, oh my God, we did such an injustice, but I didn't know. No one had ever said this. And, you grow up thinking the rabbit's going to be the greatest thing ever, and nothing happens.
Right. Because, we in sex ed, right? We tell the boys about, in two different rooms usually.
Yeah.
We tell the boys about ejaculation. We tell the girls about periods. Those are so different. And we never mention
hi, this is pleasurable. Hi, this is hell. Those are your two options. Yeah. No, literally.
I wasn't aware of this.
Oh yeah, this
conversation.
Is literally that's all we were told about is our periods.
Wow.
Yeah, there was no anything beyond that.
Except maybe don't have sex. Don't have sex.
Don't have sex.
Be
and
abstinent,
don't embarrass the boys if they get an erection in public. That's what we were also told. Right. We were told not to draw attention to that, and you're going to get your period.
I'm 31 and it happens.
It's life. But when I taught sex ed, we kept them actually all in the same room. We did it through improv theater. It was a very strange job I had. But we went through the steps of sex, and literally it was talk about sex, get consent, male gets an erection, put condom on male's penis, male enters female's body, penetration, thrusting, man comes, remove penis and condom, throw out condom.
That's unfortunate.
That's very detailed.
But it left out an entire chunk. Women were not, we were just vessels with which the penis was to get pleasure.
What's the other term you like to use for that?
We're not an orgasm receptacle. That's my thing. I'm not an orgasm receptacle. Thank you very much.
Yeah. In fact, even the word vagina, it comes from the word sheath. It's where you insert something. And, it just drives me nuts because like once you see this, you can't unsee it, right? Like the whole thing is revolving around the penis and intercourse. And even the words we use, like sex and intercourse, as if they're one and the same, foreplay, just to lead up to the big event. And it really devalues female pleasure.
Well, and oftentimes foreplay is the big event for women.
Yeah, I said this in the book and in my TED Talk, and I didn't make it up, but I don't remember. I wish I could credit the person that if we overvalued female pleasure the way we overvalue male pleasure, we would call foreplay sex and intercourse post-play.
Correct. 100%. 100%. Sorry, dude.
It's like, you know, and young people today aren't even spending, I was talking to my students, like they're not even spending any time in foreplay.
That's so much fun though.
But it's like literally it's normal for that to be skipped. Like I would say,
like, I feel like it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course it happens.
But
like, that's my favorite.
Well, and I appreciate that. That's what guys should like the most. Like they shouldn't like it the most, but they should appreciate it. But I would say over 50% of my sexual encounters, that has been skipped.
I think your picker's broken.
Wow.
I think my picker's broken big time. But I mean, I've literally had men say to me, intercourse is not for your enjoyment, it's for mine.
Yeah, that was just one dude.
That was just one dude, but it pissed me the fuck off. Thus, I'm going to keep bringing it up.
That guy was an asshole. I mean, I feel like...
Wow.
Yeah.
We talk too much. I should know these things.
I know. Like, you know everything about who I've slept with.
And so I'm like, oh, what's the term we use for that? I don't know. For me, it's... I don't want to have sex with just somebody just one time. Like,
well, and I usually just have sex with someone one time.
Right, and I don't want to. So for me, I want to make sure there's that build up and that they get something out of it, because otherwise I'm not going to get a call back. So...
Yeah, and I have the guys call me back and I ignore them because I'm like... It's
because you're mean.
I am.
You don't give people an opportunity.
But like, they don't get me off. So like, you're not welcome back in my bed. Sorry.
Right. And you know, I think men actually, like, except for that one, which like, goodbye, run.
Peace out.
He's got to go.
Like, he's got to go. But I think most men, from my talking to them in my class and clients, like they actually want to pleasure women. But they've been so misguided as well by lack of sex ed, porn. They think that the way to do that is thrust hard.
Thrust real hard. Thrust
hard
real
and fast.
Hard.
How hard can you go and how fast can you go?
No.
And it's like, you know, if they knew the truth, they could have more fun too, because they're under all these pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I had one young guy who like I hooked up with.
Can we say how young?
He was only 28. But like we had sex and it was literally like thrust and done. And like, I like tried to explain to him afterwards. I was like, that's not how women get out. He's like, no one's ever complained to me. Like, I was like, that's also because women, we have been trained not to complain. We've been trained not to speak up. So like, you're not even aware that the women you're with aren't getting pleasure because none of us have found our voice to say anything.
So do you guys both feel that, like, as a man, in order to figure out what somebody wants, like, it's completely normal and acceptable, like, while you're doing whatever it is you're doing, foreplay, intercourse, post-play, whatever we're going to call it, whatever terms we're going to use, to, like, ask questions? Because I know for me, like, I'm, like, straight up, like, what do you want? What do you need?
Yes.
What can do this? What do you need from me? Because, like, I'm going to get what I need from this. Like, it's not hard. So, like, I ask questions like, what do you want? Like, and, like, while we're in the act, I'm like, what do you need? Is that an acceptable thing?
Yes.
Totally.
And the struggle for me is when it comes to stuff like that is I'll ask somebody, what do you need? And they'll be like, nothing. Just keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, but I'm not getting any like feedback or reaction from you. Like, is this actually doing it for me, or are you just scared to tell me? Or
I know sometimes I can't figure out what's being done, so I have trouble like I've been in certain situations where I'm like, I don't know what the fuck he's doing down there. Mm-hmm. So I can't really guide you because like, I don't even know where you are. Like you have missed everything.
You're so off
the mark.
Just get done.
Just finish
Jesus.
Because like, I can't even help you in this situation. But
damn, that makes me, how many times have I been way off the mark then? Good Lord.
I'm sorry. That's not the answer you wanted, Dan.
You know, at least you're asking. But
yes.
I would even suggest doing it a little differently. Mm-hmm. I would suggest before you start, just saying something like, hey, like your pleasure is important to me. It's just as important as my pleasure. So I really, really want you to tell me what you need.
Yeah. Okay. Beforehand, if there's an opportunity.
Yes, make an opportunity. Find the opportunity.
Sometimes it's not always there, okay? And that could be like, and that's even an awkward conversation for a man to have, because like, I feel like as a man, you're expected to know what to do or perform, be able to perform or whatever. And so having to ask, like, it's really kind of checking your ego at the door.
Yeah, I think dudes do need to check their ego at the door in regards to that.
Absolutely. It's sometimes it's a tough question. I mean, I've gotten over it over the years. I'm like, whatever. Like you either tell me, like, if you want what you want, you got to tell me. But
yeah, I mean, I think with sex, there's a lot of ego checking at the door.
yeah, sometimes.
Just in general. So how long have you been teaching at UF?
10 years.
10 years. That's fantastic. What do you find are some of the biggest things that your students are concerned about?
Well, first of all, there's so many things they don't know. It's more like there's so many things they learn that are wrong.
Yeah.
Damn
So
internet.
class is like an exercise in unlearning and relearning.
I kind of want to come to your class.
That's what I was thinking from the beginning.
Can we come to your class?
Can we just come and like hang out for a semester every day?
Because it sounds fascinating.
I just want to learn.
Theoretically, I'm not allowed to, so we'll talk about this off camera. But, they're concerned about, like you've a couple times said, am I normal, right? Like, is my vulva too Barbie doll-like? Why can't I come with the rabbit? You know, they're mostly what underlines all of their concerns, no matter what we're talking about, is wondering if they're, quote, normal, instead of like embracing what works for them. And so, you know, female pleasure is a big one. LGBTQ issues is another big one. Hookup sex and what happens is another big one. What
do you mean by what happens?
Emotionally?
Like,
or
the whole thing, like from beginning to end. Like, what if I catch feelings, you know?
Okay.
You know,
because when you say what happens, I'm like, it's pretty simple in my mind.
We're talking about the beyond that.
Yeah. No, it's not pretty simple though, because it might be pretty simple for the guys, but the problem is it's not so simple. And then, of course, oh my gosh, so many people young women telling me they're so concerned about how their vulva looks. I've had women say, like, they leave the bar before hooking up, race home, shave, and then go.
Oh, wow.
That's extreme.
That's some pressure right there. That's some massive pressure.
Yeah. So you name it, there is someone in my class concerned about it.
Well, and I just think one of the reasons I started this podcast is because I felt it was so important to talk about these issues. We've spent so long not talking about these things. And I'm happy seeing that, you know, in media, we're beginning to address these things with shows like Sex Education and things like that, because I think so many of us spend so much time worrying that we're normal, that our things that have happened are normal or weird, or like, was this okay? Like, opening this dialogue is so important. And I'm so impressed that you have been doing this work for so long and helping so many people with their situations.
Well, thank you. I love doing it. And it's so rewarding, because with just a bit of honest scientific information, people can let go of so much anxiety and enjoy sexual encounters so much more.
Dr. Laurie, thank you so much for being on the show. Like, you have no idea like how beyond excited I am to have you. And I do have to say, reading this book on a plane and being in the middle seat was highly entertaining. I think I highly amused the two people sitting next to me.
I want to sit in the aisle seat as people walk by.
I want
to sit in the very front of the plane.
And everybody just read what you're, it was great. It was fantastic. But thank you again so much. You have no idea how much it meant to have you on the show this year.
It was totally my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year. It is so exciting that it is finally 2022 and hopefully not, season 3 of 2020. Anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button or that follow button or whatever those little buttons are, and make sure you subscribe. Thanks so much.